Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Ryan and Rodrigo After Hours. And this week, we have a very special guest, Thiago. And he is one of my very first students here in Brazil. And I've known him since 2012 when I came to Brazil and started teaching for the very first time. And I've known him ever since. He's a really great guy. And Thiago, can you tell everybody about yourself really quickly?
Yes. So I'm Thiago. I'm 32 years old. No, 32 anymore. I'm 34 years old. I don't count it anymore.
We've
Uh,
lost track of time in the COVID
yes,
universe. Yeah,
man, I don't have to think about it anymore. So I don't know.
I don't even know what day it is anymore. So, yeah, it's fine.
Especially now, as we are inside a pandemic, so
Exactly.
everything is lost. I have two kids, two boys. One is 5 years old, and the other one is almost two. Uh, I live in São Paulo, and I work in a bank with
Nice.
risk-related activities.
Um, and you were like one of my very first students. And
Yes.
something I'd like to ask you today is, first of all, how long have you been studying English? I know when I met you, you already spoke English very well. So you must have studied before 2012, right?
Yes, yes. Actually, uh, I would say that I have been studying English since always, since I was, I don't know, I was a kid. But the the challenge is to practice it, right?
Yeah.
Because especially for me, I don't have English within my activities, so I don't have to practice it in my daily activities. I don't have to read to talk to people. So I face some difficulty because of that. So I have to start by myself and uh, join these opportunities to talk to you again.
hmm I know exactly how you feel because I never get a chance to practice Portuguese, because I have classes with my students and I am too lazy to speak English with my wife
Okay.
or speak Portuguese with my wife. And now, especially during the pandemic, I never leave the apartment, so I don't speak Portuguese ever. So I know what you mean about needing time to practice.
Yeah.
And if you don't need English like for work or for something in your daily life, why why do you think it's so important? What do you need it
That's
for?
a good question because I always thought that you have to be prepared for the opportunity. So now I don't need, but what if some days I I have a good job opportunity or no, no, just to travel and use English for that purpose. But actually, the main purpose is to be prepared for job opportunities. So I think that, especially now, I think that one day I will have to use, and when the opportunities is is in is real, I will be prepared and I will uh, how to say that overcome the challenge. Right?
Yeah.
Thiago, you said you're 34 years old, right?
Yes,
Okay, and you said you've been studying English for forever, since you can remember.
yes. But just an add on it. Uh, I have been studying English since ever, but uh, between commas, it's much more serious since 2011. I think that when we first met. So as of 2011, I have been taking it more seriously.
Okay. Thiago, Ryan and I worked together. I was your teacher, and then Ryan was your teacher, and then I was a teacher again, and then both of us, we were your teachers together. We had classes at the same, like Ryan and I together, teaching you.
What a pleasure.
What a pleasure. Yeah, exactly. And one thing that we always mention to each other is how can I say, how accurate you are, how uh, how I forgot the word, but you have great vocabulary, and your English is a little different, if I can say that. Than most students, most of regular students, regular level students, because every week you bring new expressions, you bring questions, and you use them in class. How do you and sometimes they're expressions that we didn't teach you. We don't remember teaching you that expression specifically, and they are sophisticated or complicated or complex expressions and structures. How do you tell us a little about your process? How do you study? You only have classes, um, uh, read something, and that's it? How do you save or memorize the information?
As I don't use English in my daily activities, I try to force myself to put some moment within my day to have to get in contact with some. I don't know. It doesn't matter if it's a video or an article or whatever. So I try to read, mainly read. I think that's the reading is the most common process that I have. I'd love to watch videos, watch movies, but as you guys can imagine, I don't have that time to study like alone, to
Others
be in
too.
mindfulness for just paying attention to this content. So the the way I find to get in touch is to read, to get some articles on internet, LinkedIn. I follow a lot of companies, and I think that I know all of them are Americans companies. So I try to read the survey, uh, and then that's a way to learn new vocabulary related to business. That's part of my job, and I try to find forums to solve some problems. For example, if I have some problem at home and I want to solve, I try to for one of the way I find is to try to watch some English videos, some American videos, to listen to people like Ryan, uh, helping people to solve some problems at home. So there's a way to get in touch with specific vocabularies that Ryan uses within his daily activities, daily conversations. So I think that's the mainly two ways that I try to follow.
So you can say, or you would say, that it's very important to always be exposed, to always be reading and doing something in English, right? To always be in touch with
Yes,
with something in English, right?
yes. And another thing that that I try to do is, for example, if I learn some word today, I I try to remember this word for a week. So, for example, you guys are always uh, saying something different that I don't know this word. What does it mean? It means that. Okay. So tomorrow I try to remember what I learned yesterday, and I try to use it in uh, try
To
to
use it in
use
your
in
mind somehow,
yes in my mind
maybe.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
just to fix it, and that's I think that that helps. That helps because I don't have I don't use English, so that's the unique way, the only way to fix new words. I think that's a way, that's the process I try to follow.
And also something that I noticed is that to do all that is not simple for many of our students. Not only our students, of many students. We always tell students to be exposed, to be in touch with English, to read and listen. And what you do is exactly what I tell my students. If you put some English in your life, in your daily life, put some English in places that you already have contact with, but in Portuguese. So if you search for things around the house, now start looking for things around the house in English too, in American websites. I like, I don't know, wood and carpentry. So try to look for that, for information about that in English. And it's also nice because there's much more material, right, on the web. Um, and for a lot of students, this is difficult because of time, because of many reasons, but because they haven't acquired the taste for English yet, right? One thing I noticed is that ever since I started teaching you, actually, 2011, uh, you like English, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yes, it's important. Right? It's important to to have this learning process to not let it be a tough thing. Right? It has to be a pleasure. So, for example, last class, I think that the last time we talked, we were talking about food, about barbecue, and that was an opportunity for me to learn new words in English related to barbecue. That is a thing that I like to do. So it has to be a pleasure. It has to be, you have to enjoy. It has to be funny, not a tough thing. If it's tough, it's an obligation. Probably you fail. There's no way to learn something that you don't want to learn. So that's the main point, I think.
Okay. So find it's good if people try to find something instead of forcing English, right? Forcing themselves to learn English. Try to find something that makes learning English or being in touch with English a little easier, right?
Yeah.
A little more common to their lives, a little more normal, natural. Okay, okay. Ryan, do you have any questions?
Just one question, and it's since you've known us, since you've known me particularly, since I started teaching, one of my very first classes, all the way through my time at Sensor Botanico, and then the time at ABC Teachers. Would you say that my classes changed or got better? I hope from the very first time that I taught you until the last time that I taught you? And what were some of the differences between that very first time and the end?
I think that w- one of one of the things that I would mention is uh, I and it's important to understand, right? I get used of what like of you, no, like
Yeah.
I the first time I listened to you, maybe I had understood all of things that you told me
Uh-huh.
because I wasn't used to the not only vocabulary but the way you say, the way you talk, you know.
Uh-huh.
Now my ears are adjusted to you.
Right.
So I think that that is one of the things that help me and help all of the students during
Did
the process.
is it just me that you got used to, or did you get used to native speakers in
The native
general?
speakers, yes, that is the other thing that I would say. The way you say is different the way we Brazilians say. So you use vocabularies in a way that we are not and are not used to listen. And where as you, for example, the first time we talked, you use it a lot. You use a lot of expressions, phrasal verbs, and vocabulary that I didn't know. Then once you notice that that's the way, these are the most common expressions, these are the way they say that word, you, man, everything is everything are everything is easier during the process. So I think that the main two
Hmm.
points are these: first, to get used to the person specific, and the other one is the to learn the way you in general, you Americans in general, the way you talk.
Nice.
So
Very
And
nice.
it's important to getting in touch with American
and do
native
you think,
speakers.
Thiago, do you think um, that you would have problems maybe trying to understand British people, for example, or
Uh,
native people from other countries?
I think so. I think so because as I as I said, I don't I don't have British friends, so maybe I I think that I might face some difficult to understand, but that would be for a moment. I think that after 2 to 3 talks, I think that
Yeah.
the
So,
process would be
I
normal.
have trouble understanding some British accents, right? Especially like Irish or Scottish. If it's very Irish or Scottish, or Australian, sometimes gets a bit much for me. Then I
uh,
really have to listen. And sometimes I lose it. Sometimes I cannot understand what they're saying when it's
Yeah.
too British. Man, you're just too British. Get out of here. It's not English
Ryan,
anymore.
Ryan, something you said. Two things I like to. First, I like to ask Thiago. So you think, for example, now you've been in touch with with Ryan, that is American. Maybe you've talked to American people at work or outside your job, and then I asked you if you think you would have problems understanding British people, and you said yes. So one thing is that you think learning, uh, like, do you think there's an ending? There's a
No.
final moment to learning. Like, no,
Mm,
I finished. I finished the course, so I'll stop. What do you think about this?
yeah, that's a very important point because it's a process, especially for us that don't have don't have to use English. It's not normal for us, right? It's not natural. So it's a process you have to be in touch with the language. It doesn't matter how, but you have to, you must, I would say, because if you're not, you will forget things. And that's funny because when for example, our classes are on Saturdays, right? Saturdays morning, so I have to wake up the day that I have to sleep
Rest, relax. Yeah.
relax to sleep till 10, 11. I wake up 7 o'clock at 7 o'clock and just to learn English. And when for example, if I go to a bar or go to a restaurant on Friday, and people say, tomorrow I will sleep to 11. And what about you? What time are you going to wake up? And I tell people that I have to wake up early because I have classes. People say, man,
Man, you're crazy, man.
you're crazy. And my father-in-law specifically always told me in a funny way, man, you have class, man, you are studying English for years. When are you going to stop here, man? Because I think that what he tells me, I think that there's something strange there because man, you never learn. You know? You are always studying, and when will be the end?
But I think it's like going to a gym. It's like working out a muscle, and you can go to the gym and you can get really strong lifting weights, right? But then if you stop going to the gym, you lose all of your strength.
Yes.
And you lose very quickly.
Yes.
Like a month or two later, you're weak again. And all of that training, all of that work that you put in going to the gym for years is gone in a few months. And I think it's the same way with a language. Is you can spend 10 years you learning English, and then if you stop, within 6 months, you will forget so much. Yeah.
You'll be out of shape. Your English will, a lot of things will be there, but you'll forget how to connect them. You'll forget the details. You have to always be learning, always be exposed to that and see, so you can remember and memorize well. One thing that is interesting that I always try to tell my students is, for example, when I teach you something new today, you will only actually be using that in your speech 6 months, maybe a year from now. Today was just the day I showed you something new. And then there's a whole process. Let's use it, understand how you use it, and then use it again, and then make mistakes, and then use it again, make more mistakes, use it again, and then get confused. And then later, maybe 2-3 months, of course, depending on how difficult it is. But 2-3 months later, 6 months later, then you'll be using that. Then that part of English will be in your vocabulary, in your speech, right? Okay. Thiago, what do you work with? You work in a bank, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so now I'd like to talk to you about something a little different that all of us have been going through at the moment, which is the pandemics. Something I'd like to ask is, has your English class process or learning changed after COVID, after the pandemics?
No.
Why?
No, it's because we always have classes through Skype, through Zoom. So, man, actually, I think that the last time I saw you physically, it was 2 years ago, 2018, right? Since then, we just talk through Skype. So, I think that I haven't lost anything. my
Okay.
case, everything is normal.
All right. So online classes are a great option at the moment, right? Now, tell me one thing. Um, at work, how is work after pandemics, after COVID?
It has changed completely because, well, in terms of activities, I think that I have been working even more because, as I say, there when we there physically, people would have to find a room to find a specific time in our in our day to schedule a meeting. And the main problem too that moment was to have rooms available.
I
Now
remember
we
because I was teaching one of your colleagues there for 6 months or a year, and
Yeah,
even at 8 o'clock in the morning when no one was there, there was no one there at 8 a.m. There were no rooms available, and we had
yes,
to hunt around the entire building to find an available room to have class. So I can only imagine that during the regular day after 9 o'clock, when the rest of the employees showed up, how impossible it must have been to find a room.
yes. And because of that, most of the meetings were like, how to say that, postponed.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are just a click,
Yeah.
right? The distance between us is it is a click. So people are calling you every time to ask something, to have a meeting. So we don't have uh, how to say that, boundaries anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a click. So I have
Yeah.
been working even more, and I think that not just me, but all of the employees who are working at home are facing the same problem. So in terms of work, I have been working even more.
Yeah. And how is working at home for you? Is it nice? Do you have any like how is
No,
it?
that's okay. That's okay for
Yeah.
me. It's been perfect. It's been
Uh-huh.
perfect because of the activities I perform at work. I don't need to be there. It's
Mm-hmm.
just well, as we are doing here, just a talk, just to map some process. I don't have to be physically there. I
Right.
ask you some question and you answer, and that's okay. That's done.
And how
Uh,
much time are you saving every day by not commuting? How far away is the office?
3 hours. That's the best part ever. 3 hours. I'm saving time. I'm saving money because I don't have to fuel my car anymore, right?
Yeah. Or pay for parking. Did you have to pay for parking
No,
at the
there
office?
no
No.
no. I have a park there,
That's
space
nice.
there for me.
So,
No, no, that's okay.
Thiago, do you think productivity increased? I mean, I know
Yes.
that coffee breaks, cigarette breaks can be a problem at a company, right? Can
Yeah.
can can affect a company because you take 10, 20 minutes every hour or every 2 hours. At the end of the day, that adds up for 1 hour, 1 hour and a half of your time of your productivity time. So, do you think productivity increased? Not for you, but in general.
Yes, I think so. Especially for the reason that I said now, we are more available for everything. So we don't have boundaries anymore. So we don't have um, excuse to postpone something. It's just a click. If I have to talk to you, Rodrigo, to understand something, to have an idea or whatever, I just click and we talk. So everything flow better, I think.
Is
So the
do you have any problems though with work extending into the night, into the weekend, so that
yeah,
because you're at home and your home is your office and there's no boundaries anymore, like you said. Now, do you sometimes feel like you're always working and you're never, does it ever seem like that sometimes?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a problem, and that's a problem. In my case, I, for example, in normal situations, I get to work at around 9:30. So I had to wake up even earlier. Now, if I wake up at 8 o'clock, for example, 8:30, I can, if I want, I can work. I can
Hmm.
start my work. So, because I have this opportunity, this free time, I use it in my favor. So, I have been working more because of that. As I have more time available, I use it to work, just to not be even more busy.
Yeah. But in some ways,
So,
you're taking advantage of it, but also the company is taking advantage of your free time.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's nice, but also
You have
it's
to
a
pay
problem.
attention.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a problem because you can get it's easier to get overload.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to monitor because we don't have that problems of uh, rooms available. People are putting meeting on your agenda on your schedule every time. So you have
Yeah.
to. One thing that you have to learn is to say no. No, this time even if I have this free time, it's important to say no sometimes to have your moment because you have to organize your things. If you
Hmm.
don't do that, you'll be working for others forever, right? So I think that the pandemic uh, brings one thing that is you have to be more organized. You have to have discipline, to organize your time, to be healthier, and um, uh, along with it, to be to maintain to keep your productivity okay.
Yeah,
So you
for
have
sure.
to balance. That's the challenge that we have been facing.
Yeah.
Thiago, I
And
think
hold
we
on. With that, we have to take a break. Hi there. I was just studying a little grammar, and if you want to learn more about grammar, you can follow our Grammar Talk series. Last week, we had an episode about the present continuous, and next week, we'll be learning all about adjectives. So check us out and follow us, and we'll see you there. Bye. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're here with Thiago, and we've been discussing home office and how that's been working out for everybody. And right now, Thiago, you work at Itaú, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And have they been discussing how home office will be after the pandemic?
Yes, of course. Mainly because I think that half or even more than half of the whole company now is at home. So it's the new normal, as we say, right? So of course there are discussions about that, and especially in my case, there's a discussions to be at home off forever, mainly because we don't need to be there to perform our activities. So that's a reality for us.
Mm-hmm.
Eh,
Can you think of any way that this impacts the company? Like, what are some things that might need to be done in person? Is there anything that gets lost by doing everything virtually, by doing everything online?
Yes, I think that the worst part of this process is to not have this contact in person. I I think that that's the real problem that we as employees will face. So, but we'll have to find a way to overcome that problem. So one of the things is to schedule a lunch with friends, uh, 1 to 2 times a week to do that, to to how to say that, to find people in person and talk as normal human. And on the other hand, I think that I, I think that they are discussing about how the employees will adapt their routine, not on their routine, but the structure at home. So for example, in my case, I'm in the balcony. No, there is a little space here, and I rented things here to do my home office. But I don't know if my column will be okay for a
For the
long
long
period.
term. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, for the long term.
Or like
So
in my case, right? Like, look, it looks like I'm in a nice big room and I have an office, but this is a virtual picture. This is a wall right here, and there's a wall right here.
yeah.
I'm in a cave right now, so
And so I found your secret. Found out your secret. I thought it was your room, man.
yeah.
You didn't need to say that.
So something that I thought about is that companies are kind of getting a good deal with this, because like employees get to work at home, and so companies don't have to pay for the transport. They don't have to pay for the meals anymore, which are both normal things for companies to pay for. But they also don't have to pay for a lot of the equipment that the employees need, like a desk, a computer, a camera, all of these things that you need to do home office. And do you know if the company is doing anything to help people with these costs?
I think that in our case, because it's a bank, I think that the computers, at least the computers will be um, how to say that, provided by the company, especially because of the security issues, you know.
Yeah,
So
sure.
that's important to have it safe. So that notebooks, for example, I think I will gain from Itaú. But I don't know about the desks, about the chair. I don't know if as we we don't need to be there, so the savings related to physical space, so the rental, uh, they don't need to pay anymore. So on the other hand, I don't know if we will receive something this related to that. But of course, I think that both of us, me, I in person and bank, will earn a lot.
Yeah, it's a it's an interesting it's interesting because, like, if you think about the real estate market, like, companies are going to cut dramatically. They're not going to need as much space, but a lot of people will need bigger apartments. Like right now, I can kind of fit in my apartment, but if my wife ends up doing home office also, it will be almost impossible for both of us to fit here at the same time. And so if it's a long-term thing, we'll need a bigger apartment. But companies will need much smaller spaces. So there's going to be this change.
Yeah.
Also, places like co-working spaces will be bigger now. There will be a lot of co-working spaces. Not right now because we're in the middle of the pandemics, but probably after August, September, or 2021, there'll be a lot of co-working spaces, new co-working spaces, right? For Ryan and I, it's different because we have to speak to our students, so we cannot share a room with but it can be arranged, right? You can be in a co-working area, and then maybe you have a meeting, you put your phone and you talk for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Uh, so I guess that will. I think the real estate market will suffer uh, because everything will change very much, but I think they'll adapt, and in 5 years they'll be doing the same and getting a lot of
Yeah,
money again.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I am thinking a lot about like I have a couple of friends, I have some students who live in these very tiny apartments. These apartments that are like 19 or 25 meters in downtown Sao Paulo. And some of them even live with like their boyfriend, their girlfriend, their partner. And I just can't imagine doing that right now or ever again in the future, because if it becomes normal to work from home, uh, I cannot imagine having two people living in a 20-meter apartment, both of them working from home. That's
No. Yeah, then there are new concepts of buildings now. There are new concepts of buildings now that in the building you have a co-working area, like in the
Yeah.
ground floor. So you have the apartments are small, 20 square meters, 30 square meters, 10 square meters I saw. And in the ground floor, there's a co-working area. So people from the building can go there and work, individual rooms and all that. But that's very new. Like there are very few buildings in Sao Paulo, specifically in Sao Paulo like that. Maybe in New York or Tokyo, there are a lot, especially in Tokyo, but in Sao Paulo, not so much.
Yes, maybe companies are thinking about that. Like instead of paying transport or instead of paying some specific kind of allowance, I would say that
yeah.
uh, they are discussing about paying an allowance for doing the job in a specific place, right?
Mm-hmm.
That might be an alternative,
Yeah.
and that may be a new reality, right, we will face.
Yeah.
All we know is that everything or most things are the main things of our lives: work, your relation to your partner, uh, your relation to your neighbors. Most of the very big things in our life will change, right? Some will change dramatically, like this um, workspace issue. Some will change just a little, but most things will change, right? Most relations will have to change, at least for the next year or so. Um, now, can I ask you both guys? Ryan, you've been working from home now, right? You don't go out anymore, right? For classes or for mostly anything, right?
No, for almost nothing. I think I go out about once a week, but I don't need to. I go out to get a walk because I can feel my body dying, because the most exercise I do now is I walk the 15 steps from my bed to my desk. And that's it every day. And so I know that I need to get out and walk a little bit. And so once a week I do.
Okay.
And other than
And
that, no.
Thiago, now you're working from home. Do you sometimes get out, or you don't? Is
No,
it like
I avoid getting out without need. So I just get out for buying food, for buying some something for home. But I think that it's just once a week for this purpose, right? For buying things for home. Uh, on after our class, maybe today when we finish here, I will run a little. So as I live near to Anchieta, uh, I I try to get a run. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah,
Dar uma
yeah,
corrida in Portuguese.
yeah, yeah. Take a run.
To,
Yeah.
to take a run, and I run. I think 5 kilometers is enough for my knees. It's enough for my knees.
Yeah.
So I try to do that every Saturday, and during the week after work, uh, after closing the notebook, I try to lift some weights here that I bought from Mercado Libre because gyms are not available anymore. So I tried, and this I think that it will be a new reality for me. I don't know if I'll have to go to gym anymore because I'm okay here with my weight. So that will be my new normal too. But
Mhm.
I try to maintain a, a healthy routine.
And what about you, Rodrigo? Do you go out? Do you stay? What is your routine like? We lost him again.
No,
Yeah, talking
my
Here we go.
wife, she has.
you, you, you talk about you talk about exercise with Rodrigo, the connection.
The
It-
connection is
it's
lost.
a yes, it's a trigger, like exercise, cut the connection.
That's true. That's true. I'm not gonna lie. So no, but my wife works at a hospital, so she has to go out every day, and I stay home with my son. I try not to go out. I avoid getting out on weekends. Once a week on Saturday usually I go to the supermarket to buy groceries. Um, but during the week, no, I stay home. I have to sometimes go downstairs to turn on to turn on my car to make it work.
So it doesn't die forever.
Exactly, so it doesn't die. Uh, and but that's the groceries that we buy online. Um, and sometimes during the week, I try to find a day, the best day, and go around the block with my son because my son is 5 years old, and it's insane for him to be home. It's not nice at all. He's 5 years old. He wants to exercise. He wants to jump and do activities, and so it's very difficult for him to be home.
Too much energy. Yeah.
Yes, too much energy. I try to exercise too. Thiago and I asked for Thiago's advice on how can I exercise. He's an athlete. He runs and he lifts weights. So I bought some weights and I try to lift every month. Once a month I do it. Uh, so I don't feel I don't feel guilty. I don't know, this month is okay. And but it's difficult. It's hard because I have between work and my son. Uh, it's difficult to find time to do anything.
Yeah. And Thiago, you have two kids. So how is it dealing with them, dealing with their excess energy and trying to survive in a closed apartment for all of this time?
Man, that's the challenge. As Rodrigo said, my Lucas, who is 5 years old, he has too much energy, and it's complicated to deal with it. What we try to do, uh, thank God, our apartment has a space here, like it's
Sorry,
a how to say that? It's a side.
backyards or a yard or outside space.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an
nice.
outside space, and it's great. So both the both Lucas and David can run a little, can play with toys here. So it's a way to burn to that energy that they have, especially Lucas. And but that's okay, and I don't feel that they are not enjoying this moment. That's okay. I think that it's under control yet,
Does your
especially
wife?
because my father-in-law he lives in a big house. So once a week we try to go there, and they play a lot, so it maintained them okay,
The,
healthily.
is your wife at home too, Thiago? Or does she stay in the in an office? Does she have to? Are you both guys at home? Do you share responsibilities with the kids?
Yeah, yes. We share everything here, especially during the lunch. So around from like in the middle of the lunch, one is given Lucas food and the other one is given Davi food, and then we share the dishes. So the share is I have 100% of the share, no? So
Yeah, yeah.
I eat
It's still a share.
the dishwasher. That's a share.
Yeah.
We try to share everything. But during the
And,
day, when she need to go to the office, I try to open the door here. Then my eyes are like one of them looking at the cat and then the other one looking at
and
the
the
fish.
fish.
No, yeah,
Yes.
that's part of.
What about you, Ryan? Are you, your wife, both home or just you?
Right now, just me. Um, she has to go to work every day on Paulista, and it's not so nice for her because she has to take the subway and deal with all of those people there. And then on Paulista, where she works, is kind of deserted, and so is not very safe. Once she gets out of the subway with all of the possibly infected people, she gets up on the street with a bunch of homeless people. So it's from one danger to another danger. And it'd be really great if she could be home, but for now is not possible according to her job. We'll find out.
Ryan, I doubt I have talking about that. Uh, does she note an increase on the inside the subway in terms of people because of the new law? The how to
Yeah,
say that?
yeah.
Rodrigo? The
Uh, the
no no.
new,
Our rotation.
yeah, sure. I don't know what to call it because it doesn't really exist. The new rule that says only half of the cars can drive each day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does she note an increase in movement?
yeah, there are more people. But like at her office, first they tried to change the rules a little bit and tell people to only work half of the days, and but work a few more hours each day so that they could stay with the Hodizio and not have to use the metro at all. But this didn't work out, and people complain it didn't work, and so now people are having to use the subway to go to work. Uh, Anyway, so I'm home all of the time, and Yeah, it's fine. I have an opposite problem that you guys have. You guys seem very busy because you have your kids to take care of all of the time, and you never get a break from that responsibility. But I have no responsibilities at all, just some classes every day. So I get very bored, and I've run out of things to watch on Netflix and every other streaming service. I've run out of video games to play. I have nothing to do all day long. And so I have to come up with things to keep myself entertained. And it's getting a bit much now. I'm going a little bit crazy with boredom.
Well, a lot of things have been changing, negatively and positively, right? Both. There's been more. Probably there's been more arguments between husband and wife staying home, more domestic violence. I read that the domestic violence increased, but also time for reconnection, right? Some people that maybe didn't talk, didn't have the opportunity to be together. Now they do, and that's nice. Father and son, or mother and son, or mother and father, and everybody. Now an opportunity, depending on how difficult or easy every person is, right? So okay, I think that's all the questions I had for Thiago today.
Yeah.
I don't know if do you have
Does
any other
Thiago have
questions?
any questions for us?
No,
No?
no specific questions. My curiosity was about the routine, but you guys already told me, and I think that there's a question that all of us all is always are always asking people, because we are always comparing ourselves, right, in terms of and Ryan is okay with his wife, and what about Rodrigo? How is he dealing with his son? Because I want to know if I'm doing the right things, right?
Yes,
or
yes.
or or if there is some new play to right to do
Yeah.
to
Or
do
if
with
if
Lucas.
maybe my life is better or worse than somebody else, maybe I made the
Yeah.
wrong decision at some
Yes,
point.
it's a kind of benchmarking, you know.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's important to share, because maybe I can do something new because we talk. So that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it.
I have a lot of other friends that also have kids, and they're all saying the same thing that you guys are. They're going crazy. Uh, but I don't know. I'm also going crazy with nothing. At first, it was great. The first like month of lockdown was wonderful. I had all this time. I had free time to do everything. But it's starting to drive me a little crazy. So maybe in another month or two, I'll just be like a crazy man, mumbling to myself all of the time.
I thought you were gonna say, so maybe in a month or two I'll get a baby.
No.
Okay.
Yes, it would put you in a new routine. So if you are getting bored about your routine nowadays, we
You
have
have
a
a son.
solution, right, Rodrigo?
Yeah.
I have two
Yeah.
solutions.
Two?
You
Yes.
could have
Oh.
your first one.
Well,
Yes.
A little
thanks.
drastic, but
A little drastic. Yeah,
yeah.
we'll see. But thanks for coming on, Thiago. It was nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you, man. And let's hope the pandemic
Goes
goes
away.
away.
Yeah, and
And
we can share a beer sometime soon.
yes.
If
Looking.
not, sometime soon maybe a year or two, just or 2 meters away from each other, right? From one another.
Yeah.
Yelling at one another. So,
Yeah.
how are you guys? I'm fine. And you?
I can go over to your apartment and yell at you up to the window.
Yeah, also. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like serenade Thiago.
Uh-huh. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
guys.
So thanks everybody
you.
for tuning in. Thanks for watching our show. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and check us out everywhere else, including our podcast on Spotify. And we'll see you guys next week and have a good one.